Okay. Well, we'll start the meeting. Welcome to the Addison Township Board meeting. Today is April 15th. It's 6 o'clock. We're located here at the Addison Township Hall. If we could all stand for the pledge, please. Joel?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lord, for this wonderful day. Thank you for the prosperity you've given to this township. Help us to do well in our next season. In Jesus' name, amen.
We have roll call, please.
Addison.
Here.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Joel King.
Here.
Jacob Newby.
Here.
Lori Fisher. Here. Bennett present. Supervisor Pearson.
Here, all accounted for. Okay, announcements.
Spring cleanup is coming up. It's around the corner, May 11th, 2019. The hours will be from 8 to 1.
And already, if anybody sees any garbage on the road, please let us know. We'll have volunteers go and pick it up, and the sheriffs are making a list also. So, any petitions?
No.
None? Okay, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, have any comments at all? Not hearing any. Do we have roll call on that, please?
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Joel King.
Aye.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Addison.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. Okay, consent agenda.
Yes, this one's quite long, so I'm not going to read it word for word. March 18th, 2019 minutes. Bills as paid for March 2019 tri-party gravel program for the amount of $19,220. Oxford Addison Youth Assistance Sponsorship Funds. Waive the purchase ordinance for the phone service agreement and authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with a competitive firm not to exceed 5 years and not to exceed current rate.
Okay, does anybody have any comments?
I'll make a motion to move the consent agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second. I don't have motions, any comments? Not hearing any. How about roll call on that, please?
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Joel King.
Aye.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. Okay, it passes. Now we'll move on to item number 2, which is the public hearings and resolutions to establish the special assessment district for A, Meadow Court, and B, Addison Hills Court. Okay, we'll start with Meadow Court. This be the public hearing resolution to establish a private special assessment district for Meadow Court. The Township Board received petitions signed by more than 50% of the record owners based on the tax rolls of Oakland County, constituting more than 50% of the total frontage of the proposed SAD, Special Assessment District, requesting the amount of $500 per parcel for each of the next 5 years for the purpose of maintenance, including snow plowing, road, pond and park maintenance, and a 5% collection fee for the township. Proper notice of this second and final hearing was published and mailed by first-class mail to each property owner within the proposed SAD. And once again, this is where we listen. I'll open up the public hearing, and this is where we listen. If you'll come forward, if anybody wants to speak at the public hearing about this SAD, please come forward, and we'll open up the meeting, and we'll call it at 6:04. If anybody'd like to speak on the SAD for Meadow Court, please come forward.
I'm a resident, but I wasn't really appointed.
That's fine, anybody can speak. We'll listen.
As far as I know, the purpose behind this was that where we're having issues with collections on some of the properties, it being a private subdivision, if you will, we do afford all of our own maintenance fees and what have you. So this was, I guess, the guidance that we were given to present before you for approval.
Yes, that's proper procedure here.
Could I have your name, please?
Brian Lorian, 2100.
Lorian?
Lorian, Lorion.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. We're at the point of, if there's anybody else, and then we'll vote on it to approve it or not to approve it, so thank you. I'll ask one more time, anybody else would like to speak on it? Not hearing any, then we'll close the public hearing, we'll call it 6:05.
I'd like to move the resolution authorizing the SAD for Meadow Court, a private road in Addison Township.
Second. Do we have any discussion? Not hearing any, can we have roll call on that, please?
Joe King.
Aye.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Eric Sant.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. It is so moved. We all set then, thank you. Okay, oh, we got one more now, that's gonna be the next road. This one's gonna be for Addison Hills Court. Okay, once again, whereas the Township Board received petitions signed by more than 50% of the record owners based on the tax rolls of Oakland County constituting more than 50% of the total frontage of the proposed SAD, this is on Addison Hills Court, requesting the amount of $450 per parcel for each of the next 5 years for the purpose of maintenance, including snow removal, grading, chloriding, gravel, and brush removal, clearing with a 10% collection fee for the township. Proper notice of this second and final hearing was published in the Oxford Leader and mailed by first-class mail to each property owner within the proposed SAD. Once again, this is where we listen. I'll open up this meeting at 6:06. If anybody from Addison Hills Court would like to speak, we are here to listen. If anybody on Addison Hills Court would like to speak? Not hearing any. I will close the public hearing then at 6:07.
Could I move the resolution authorizing an SAD for Addison Hills Court, a private road in Addison Township?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Could we have roll call, please?
Eric Sant.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Joe King.
Aye.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, the resolution is so moved. Move on to item number 3, which is the contract for the Oakland County Sheriff's Marine Patrol Agreement. 2019 through 2021 Oakland County Sheriff's Marine Patrol Agreement request. I believe this one is for, well, the first one is going to be for the request for the funding from the operating while impaired figures. And we do have the sheriff here, right? So, Sergeant, why don't you come up here if you would, Sergeant Weir. We usually try to contribute to the Marine Patrol on Lakeville Lake by using the reimbursement funds we get from the court from the operating while impaired. I did have some conversations with Sergeant Weir. We did have a total of 8 OWIs, but 2 of them were felonies, correct?
That's correct.
So that money goes to the state. We don't get it because they're super drunks or whatever. And
For the super drunks, we go through our township supervisor or township attorney. We go through Listman handles those, and Mr. Davis. But the felony drunk drivings have to go through the state.
Third offense or more.
Our third offense.
okay, so we had what, a total of what, 6 then?
So we had 8. 2 of them were the felony OWI. So out of those 6. We recovered $459 on average a piece when we balanced it out. But we had to pay the attorney fees out of that. So we came up with a figure of minus the 2 for the felonies was $2,154.
So the attorney fees are taken out, so we're not in the hole on it. So you're saying $359 per
Correct.
restitution. So it was $2,154.
Yes, sir.
So just so the board knows that we did get restitution of $2,154, and that is time that our deputies spent on the arrest of a person under the influence or impaired from drugs. But, the court then sends us that money back to recover the amount of time the deputy had to spend on that arrest, because generally he's got to go to the hospital, he's got to go downtown. So everybody understand that it was that much money? I'll now open up for discussion. Does the board want to give a donation of the $2,154 to the Lakeville Marine Patrol?
Yeah, I think to follow in tradition, this is the money that we accumulated per the agreement that we made before. Apparently didn't have enough drunk people driving here, so we couldn't make more money. I mean,
Oh, that's a good thing.
having said that, it's not, I'm not saying that's what we need.
In years past, we had
more
arrests,
yeah,
but
I know.
the good side of it is that
Yeah.
we don't have so many.
Exactly, yeah, it came out wrong.
They're doing a good job.
They're doing an excellent job. But anyways, it is what it is. We had 6 cases, so you got 2154. I would move to, that would be the figure that we donate, 2154.
Could I, before I support, could I add
Yeah.
that it come from police fund account number 205-000-656-000?
Correct.
Revenue account. Cost recovery revenue account.
That account, I believe, it takes into account all the funds reimbursed from the court. So,
It does, so the treasurer will transfer an X amount of dollars into the Marine Fund, because I don't feel that it's separated.
right, they don't separate, that's when you get your cost recovery from the court, they don't separate, that's why I go back. And I submit, every time I submit to the prosecutor's office, I also submit the cost recovery request to the court. And during that time, it's placed into the form as to how many hours the deputy spent, right? There may be hours spent on the roadside, investigating the stop, and then the report writing, my supervision, and the attorney fees all go into that. So that's why I came up with the average.
Right,
Correct.
okay. So we're taking that number, and just for accounting purposes, so Lori will know where to hit and transfer, we have to kind of give a number.
Right.
Okay. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I accept that, part of the motion.
I just wanted to ensure that there's not some equipment that the department was hoping to buy that would have utilized this money, or...
So that's what we had spoken about, and I think we addressed it last year also, was that these funds are typically used for training and for updated equipment, right? But we have the other funds that are in that account that are from ticket writing and such, those things, right? That also we get reimbursed from the court. We'll use that money towards the training and any equipment that were needed. But right now, we're doing pretty good. We haven't had to purchase anything new. I think the last thing we purchased was the LiDAR handheld speed radar, and the township purchased that. So we're doing pretty good.
So if Wayne wants more money next year, he should stand out in front of the bars and call you guys?
No, we're already this year at the numbers we were last. I look back 10 years to see on average what our arrests were, and our high number was 28 in 2006. So
What you're saying, if Wayne wants more money, then Wayne's got to go drinking and drive up and down the road. So that Wayne will pay
hopefully we get it down to zero. That would be
That would be
the best
great.
case scenario, and there wouldn't be any money for Mr. Hodges.
Numbers against drunk driving are freaking out right now.
Okay, so we do have a motion, and we did have a second. Is there any other discussion on giving the $2,154 to the Marine Patrol? He's not hearing any. Could we have a roll call on that, please?
Joe King.
Aye.
Linda Garrett. Yes. Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Eric Sepp.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, okay, that takes care of that part of it. Now, the second part is the resolution for the Sheriff's Marine Patrol Agreement. This resolution addresses the details of the funding of the Marine Patrol on the lake. So now we have to, they gave us the complete agreement for the Sheriff's Marine Patrol. I see that some of the costs went up slightly. That wasn't very much. But It's already been approved by our legal, and now does the township want to move forward with contracting with the Sheriff's Marine Division?
I'd like to move the resolution authorizing Oakland County Sheriff's Marine Patrol 219-221 agreement.
I'll support.
Any further comments?
I have a comment. This says the meeting was held on March 18th.
Thank you, Linda.
I'm sorry, I didn't notice that before.
So I'm going to change that to April 15th.
Okay, any other comments? I give Linda another minute to look through that. She
Well,
always finds the
oh, I told her to
details.
stop.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, I'm,
Okay,
No, that was
nothing
the
else?
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. Is that correct? Okay, can we have a roll call on that, please?
Linda Garrett.
yes.
Joe King. Eric Stent.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, and that passes. Now we'll move on to item number 4. This all has to do with the fire department. Okay, this fire department expenditures. A is the ambulance. RSVP, this is for a new ambulance, not to exceed $208,514, is that correct? From 204-304-974. I'll let you talk about it there, Chief.
All right, if you guys remember last year, you approved a purchase for an ambulance, last year's budget. We did not move forward with that because we wanted to do a little more research. Currently, right now, we have van-style front-end chassis, and we wanted to do a little research on pickup truck front ends and a little heavier duty for our dirt roads. And that's what we come up with now. The price isn't much more going to a pickup truck versus a van, so that is, that's not even worth talking about. The price is pretty much the same, but we did keep the diesel, and that was what was the big research that we did, was trying to see if we wanted to go to gasoline or to diesel, and we opted to keep with diesel. So that's what took us a little while. So we didn't bring an ambulance forward last year, even though we had it in the budget. So this year now we would like to move forward with that purchase.
Okay, I'll open it up for discussion. Anybody have anything they'd like to ask the chief?
Is this replacing ALS or BLS?
Well, we're ALS. I do have, we dual roll an ambulance here. The other one is a basic ambulance because of our licensure. And, but yeah, it's going to be replacing an ALS ambulance. And then the one that we have now will then move down to our second or spare ambulance. And it'll be a BLS truck.
So we'll have 2 BLS?
No, we will only have 2 ambulances in town, one an ALS and one a BLS that can be upgraded to an ALS. So when the first one leaves town on a medical to the hospital or whatever we go, because sometimes, our hospitals are so far away, we have another rig in town. And the reason why we license it at Bravo unit is because if I don't have a medic in town, 2 EMTs then can transport. But if I put a medic on board, then I can transport ALS because the drugs and everything are locked up. So it's just a way we maneuvered things to where we can have BLS able to transport if we need it.
So we're not selling a used ambulance?
Yes, we will be selling a used ambulance.
And what do you think it's worth?
Unfortunately, nothing. Maybe 15, 20,000. That's why we kept it. That's another reason why we kept the ambulance another year. They don't hold a resale value.
Is there a reason why you kept the diesel?
Yes. One of the biggest things is just because of run time, we let them idle so long. And I know it sounds weird, but we also have a diesel tank and I can't get a gasoline tank here. So instead of having to go to the Valero and making sure that if their power ever went out or whatever, I have diesel fuel here at the station. We're allowed to get that tank. We're not allowed to get a gasoline tank with all kinds of issues with that, tried in the village. But so we have, yes. So that's why there's other options and reasons why too. Unfortunately, buying a diesel up front is expensive, but it pays for itself over the long run, especially the way we idle things so long.
This wasn't vetted by the fire board, so I asked the chief to give us all of the bid process. I was really impressed with your checkoff list of the components for the bid.
Yeah, it's very in-depth.
Very good job.
Oh, yeah, we've done this, that was,
Yeah, but typically we don't see this, so I
Oh,
was
yeah.
very impressed. I'm very comfortable with your recommendation after reviewing this, so thank you for being so thorough.
I think the other thing is it's on schedule for replacement, right?
yeah, actually, I had planned to actually replace these ambulances every 7 years, but after I found out the resale value isn't that good, I'm stretched it out to 9. And right now, we're at 9.5, and the time we take delivery of the vehicle, we'll be at 10. Over 10.
I'd like to make a motion to move to purchase an ambulance/cot from RSVP/AED not to exceed $200,008.514 from 204-304-97400.
Second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? Not hearing it, roll call now, please.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Eric Sent.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Joe Kane. Lori Fisher. Yes. Yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, okay, that passes. Now we'll move on to Part B, which is to waive the purchase orders for 10 sets of turnout gear. It's purchased 10 sets of turnout gear from Douglas Safety for $21,050 from account 204-304-974. You got 2 words to give us on that?
Yeah, this is just replacing some of our old turnout gear. Unfortunately, NFPA requires that we replace our gear every 10 years. And we also wanted to change our spec. If we don't change our spec every so often, the price will shoot up on us. So we changed our spec a little bit and went out to a new provider. We purchased 10 sets last year. This year now, this budget year, we'd like to purchase 10 more to outfit and get us past that old and worn out threshold of gear. So we'll have 20 sets of gear now that are only a year apart.
Okay, so what we need first of all is to waive the purchase ordinance for 10 sets of gear. Any comments on that?
It is a specific spec, that's why it's a sole provider. So
What is Innotex?
Innotex is the manufacturer of the gear. Douglas Safety is the rep, the distributor.
Mr. Supervisor?
There was no other manufacturer that made
Not to our
your
spec. Yeah, and the other manufacturers, there's like 5 or 6, and there's quite a few gear manufacturers out there. But we went with this company here because they are cheaper, and we downgraded our material, different things like that to make it a little cheaper. But not risking safety. There's certain things that we just have to have on there for NFPA safety standards. Unfortunately, this stuff is getting really expensive. It irritates me how expensive it's getting. 10 sets of gear, I mean, it's $2,100 for a set of gear now. It's getting outrageous.
Weren't you having a lot of success with grants on the turnout gear?
Yes, and unfortunately, we were writing a group grant with Brandon and other fire departments. Unfortunately, that didn't work. And that's how I learned about this gear and the price, because we had 5 manufacturers in there. I spent last summer researching that with 5 other departments because we thought we were going to get the grant. We wanted to be prepared. Unfortunately, the grant didn't come through. But now we have the money to be able to buy that, so I broke it up in 2 years. So it was actually kind of good that I spent that much time with 5 different manufacturers there. We learned a lot, and I learned what I could cut corners and make it a little cheaper. So that's why we went with Innotex.
Okay, we have a motion to waive.
I'll make a motion that we waive the purchasing ordinance for 10 sets of turnout gear.
I'll support.
Any more comments on that part? Not hearing, could I have a roll call on that, please?
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Eric Sent.
Yes.
Joe Kane. Lori Fisher. Yes. Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, and now we need another motion to purchase the 10 sets at $21,050 from account 204-304-974.
I'll make that motion.
Excuse me, second.
Any comments on the actual purchase? Okay, not hearing any, so we have roll call on that, please.
Joe King.
Aye.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Jacob Ruby.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, okay, now we'll move on to C, which is waive purchase ordinance for thermal imaging camera and purchase the thermal imaging camera from, is it Dings Fire Company?
Yes.
For $6,958.95 from 204-304-974. Got 2 seconds on that one.
Yes, just real quickly, we had firefighter Rob Fitzpatrick actually wrote a grant from the 4-County Community Foundation over in Elmont, and we were successful in that grant. And they actually awarded us this grant 2 months ago, and for a thermal imaging camera, and that is it's a heat camera to see inside of houses, make overhaul and things like that a little easier, and to find the fire faster. Unfortunately, those things are expensive. Really good cameras are expensive. We wanted to outfit our engine 1 with that. Our new engine that we purchased last year, we took delivery in July. And we just didn't have enough money sitting around to put that expensive a piece of equipment on there. So we wrote a grant, we were successful, and we'd like to move forward with that, realizing that money's already been deposited into our revenue account.
Okay, so what we're looking for is a motion to waive the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We do have a second. Any further discussion? Not hearing any, could we have roll call on that, please?
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Joe King.
Aye.
Erickson.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, and then now the actual purchase. We need a motion to purchase a thermal imaging camera for $6,958.95 from Dings Fire Department, or Fire Company, and 204-304-974.
I'll move we purchase a thermal imaging camera from Dings Fire Company for $6,958.95 from 204-304-974-000.
I'll support.
A motion and support. Any discussion? Not hearing any. Could we have roll call on that, please?
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Joe King.
Aye.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. And we're all done with you. Okay. Those were 2-second little speeches.
It's not even 6:30.
I know, you're gonna
Cut him off.
have to show me 2 seconds next time. Okay, now we're on to number 5, resolution for support or opposition for townships elected as nonpartisan on a ballot. I'll let Pauline tell you about this one, since she's
I'm
an
going to give
MTA.
a brief overview from MTA. So the board in their board packet received the pros and the cons for a township elected position being nonpartisan. In 2012, a nonpartisan election for township was defeated at the annual meeting of MTA by a vote of its members. A Macomb County State Rep intends to introduce and actively promote legislation to make nonpartisan office optional to townships, and optional being the key word this time out. It's presented differently than the last approach because last time out it was mandatory. This is a core value for townships, and that's why MTA is asking the memberships for some feedback. The election of nonpartisan did not make the 2019 policy platform timeframe for a vote at the annual meeting, so that's why MTA is reaching out to its member townships for their input by way of the resolution that's in their board pack, to either support nonpartisan or as an option for individual townships, or continue in opposition for nonpartisan township positions. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I was at OCATS today, which is the meeting for Oakland County Association of Township Supervisors. We did talk a little bit about this, and basically pros and cons to it. Everybody knows that I guess if if you're a Republican, some people associate themselves with Republicans being conservative or whatever, and the same thing as a Democrat. And the supervisors all had their opinions or whatever, but it's up to us. And in my opinion, people like to know what they're voting for when they vote for a person, as to sometimes what that person is associated with and what their fiscal policies are and different things like that. So that was the discussion. But I'm going to open it up to the board here, if they would like to chime in and tell me what they think on the resolution. This is only advisory for the Michigan Township Association. They're asking for our opinion, and it has been presented to the other townships also. So does anybody have any comments?
Yep, I do. I think a party shows a general set of ideals and helps people like realize who generally aligns with them in an election, so it's easier for people to vote. And so they say it doesn't affect one of the pros of the nonpartisan group. They say it doesn't affect any governance and doesn't affect any issues, but I think it does. Because some of the things the Conservative Party, the Republicans, believe in is limited government, fiscal responsibility, low taxes, and I think it's gun rights. And so I think our residents would want to know where their elected officials stand on those issues.
Okay, we have another?
I definitely agree with what Jacob's saying, and I've struggled with this whole idea, but I'm thinking that we're not voting on it for Addison right now. We're voting on it whether or not other communities within Michigan should be allowed to do this. So I think maybe it wouldn't affect us so much, but I think other communities, it may be of value to them. I don't have a super strong opinion either way, because I think there's pros and cons to it. And your voting records are still available, so I think if somebody wanted to dig and find out what your core values are, that information is still available. But I do like that, it does, if you have to pick sides, which unfortunately that's the way politics are in America, that you're pretty much one of two parties. I think it does hold you accountable, at least, to what you said you were going to do or what you stand for, and people do then have that to draw back on to say, this is what you said during the election, and this is what I expect of you in your job. But then again, maybe it would be a great idea if everybody ran nonpartisan and we're held to other ideals other than party lines.
So really what we're voting for, though, is part of the, to establish the position of the MTA. It's the legislature that's going to be just making a decision about whether to authorize townships to optionally be nonpartisan.
The vote tonight or by any municipality is non-binding to MTA, but what MTA is trying to do is reach out to its members and get a good feel of where we're at now. And then based on that, our lobbying group for MTA is going to go to fight for MTA based on the MTA board vote. So it does make a matter as far as what we do here, because it is going to go back to Lansing what we vote.
Right, but the decision lies at the state level.
Correct. They will take a vote.
I would vote in opposition.
Well, I'll jump in. Based on what I heard, it's all true, what Jacob said, and Lori and Joel. But the main thing that I go back to is core values. That's the key words, in my opinion. The words core values is not partisan. It's the right thing to do at the right time. And having said that, during my campaign to run for this, I went door to door, which was suggested to do. And that's what I heard when I went door to door. Not what party I was affiliated with, but what's the right thing to do, and what do you stand for? Core values. That's the key thing. And whether that should be an option as far as running for this, I don't know. but I'm just saying that my experience showed me that people really showed interest. You know, I don't care if you this way, that way, what are you gonna do? You know, when I mentioned things, I stood for safety, for police and fire, fiscal responsibility, being conservative, not spending a whole lot of money, you know, just common sense. That's what people wanted to hear.
It sounds to me like you're a Republican.
So I would take that as core value, and I agree with you, Eric, but in a different twist. So when I would go campaign, the core value's there because you do have a partisan issue. So I would address what's going on in Addison Township. I would address where we would want to be. So I never really addressed the core issues because in my mind, as Jacob said, they're already known. Instead of a nonpartisan, it's kind of nobody really knows what your core values are. And then I'm going to end with, I was one of those truly opposed to this in 2012. I was on that main floor truly campaigning against it, only because it was mandatory. In this verbiage, it is slightly different, where it's going to be optional to each township. So it does give the local control that I'm always fighting for. But if it ever came here, no, I wouldn't.
I'd like to point out as well that you always have the option of being nonpartisan by being an independent candidate. So if the townships around the state may want to enact it, they could all go independent.
Well, one thing I will say is that even at the county level, it's partisan. I mean, if you're running for sheriff and you run as a Republican, people know that you have certain values. If you run for sheriff and you're a Democrat, you have different values on how the office is going to be run. And same thing for county executive. There's two different philosophies on that. So as far as I'm concerned, I do like it to be partisan, only because that tells you what party and what you're actually running on. And if you're not part of that party, then you're going to have to be an independent or whatever. So I myself think that it should be Republican or Democrat or independent or whatever. But you should announce what party you're with. So you got to give the people some information. You can't just go out there and say I'm so-and-so and this is how I'm running and not give enough information. So someone with a name can come in and get elected and you have no idea where they stand fiscally or on certain sensitive issues. So I do like it where people have to announce their party, so at least you know that there are some things that they do adhere to before they ever get started. Anyways, that's my opinion. So is there any motions here?
Oh, I would like to say that I'm probably saying everything everyone else already said, but when most people go and vote and they have a ballot in front of them, if they're looking at all the nonpartisan people, a lot of times they have no idea who they are or what they stand for, and they skip it. They don't really know, but the ones that maybe aren't partisan positions but still show party affiliations, you know, straight ticket, then they're comfortable thinking, well, they share the same values that I do. And I think that happens a lot, good or bad, I don't know. But most people don't really know. I don't know who all the people, all the judges are, or, you know, different candidates for school boards and things, college boards. And I think, well, if I just vote for the Republican ones, then I'm okay. If they weren't partisan, I might not vote for it because I might not know enough and not want to vote for the wrong people. But not to say that this is a partisan position. On the flip side of that, and I think, Laura, you were probably alluding to this, if it were a nonpartisan position and you were in a community that primarily votes Republican and you're Democrat, you might not even try to be on a local board because you know you're never going to win. It's always been, you know, 80% Republican, why even bother? So maybe it's good to be nonpartisan so more people would participate. So those are my thoughts. I'm kind of in the middle on it, but maybe leaning more to being opposed. here, anyway, for us.
Well, but we're not voting here on us, and I think, at the county level, I think if you're a Republican, you're probably at a disadvantage. And
Well, that's-
in many communities, if you're one or the other. So I think, I hope this doesn't come, I guess, to our area, that we're having to vote on it. But I think it's important to remember that this is statewide. It's not.
No, I agree with that, and that's why I was a little bit confused on the resolution, because I thought that it asked if you could be in support of, in favor of, or neutral. And I didn't see neutral in here.
The one explanation that they sent out, it said MTA might end up being neutral. So they are asking each membership to say yes or no. If we wanted to change it, because it is this is their resolution, we can change it. So if we want to say that we're neutral, we could change that. But that was alluding to MTA in Lansing might remain neutral based on the responses.
Oh, okay.
Well, how do you want to start this? You want to do a show of hands before we make the resolution? Or
Somebody move the resolution.
well, then somebody,
I'll make a resolution that the township go on record, strike in support of, and in opposition to the legislation that would allow township boards the option to have its elected office appear as nonpartisan on the ballot.
Can I ask one thing now? So they've also included on theirs, if so desired, list the reasons or elaborate with basis, or if none, remove this line. Do we want to add anything to the resolution for the basis of doing this, or do we want just to keep it plain and simple?
I just keep it plain.
Okay, then I'm gonna strike that sentence out. Thank you.
okay, so we have a motion. Now we have to have a second.
Support.
I'll second.
And Jacob seconds. Now this is to oppose, this is so that there is a Republican Party, a Democratic Party, an independent on the ballot. So if we vote yes on that, that means that you want to keep the partisan
That we're in
ballot, is that
opposition.
correct?
Yes, we're in
Okay.
opposition.
Just so I know, I don't want people voting yes or no and not. So yes is to
Like a
keep the
ballot.
partisan
Yeah.
thing. Okay, so we have any other discussion on that? Not hearing any, well, let's go through roll call then.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Joe King.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Eric Sant.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
No.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. That so passes. Okay. Public forum. Anybody have anything that they'd like us to hear? This is where we listen, we don't talk. Somebody has anything, just please come forward for public forum. Oh,
Wayne Hodges, Lakeville Lake Property Association. I do wish, on behalf of the Property Association, would like to thank the board and the Sheriff's Department for basically volunteering to make the donation to defray part of the expenses of the Marine Patrol. And as you well know, we don't see 100% eye to eye on this item, but for tonight, that's not the discussion. So all I would just like to convey is thank you.
okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to Addison Township reports. Jacob, how was hazmat?
The No Haz event went really well. It was very windy though, and but a lot of people from Addison came out, and I was pretty happy to see that. It was at Oxford Middle School, and it went to 2 p.m. So I can believe we have 4 more events for No Haz this year. So if you have any toxic waste or oil or anything you need to dispose of, like lights, just come to one of the No Haz. They're on the Oakland County website, and we'd be glad to have you.
I think it was well organized. I went there, I was impressed with the throughput of customers, if you may, that you had. Very well organized, well run. I mean, it was very thorough, and it was fast. That's the main thing. Put a lot of people through there, so great job.
Okay, anybody else?
So I'm going to sign up for the Oakland County CISBA, the kind of the Council on Invasive Species.
Yes. I gave you the information there.
I appreciate it.
Are you going to attend or see?
I'm going to do my utmost.
That's to get rid of the Phragmites, okay? We did put money in, and we're gonna put a little bit more money in this year. And that's to do along, the road commission now has a grant where we're putting in part of it, and they're putting part of it in, and they're spraying along the roadways to, as you know, the Phragmites are those great big, tall weeds that are taking over, they're taking over the cattails and everything, and they're an invasive species that came from Eurasia, so they're trying to rein some of that in, and so last year we did do some spraying. We'll see what the effects are this year, see if it made a big improvement, and we'll see if they're coming back, but it's like a 3-year program, and Joel was talking about down on Indian Lake. I believe you have some issues down there, so he's going to get himself educated on it to see if they can help on Indian Lake. We don't have too many on Lakeville Lake. It's very sparse, but
we also attack it very aggressively.
Yeah.
Every year where we find it, we go out and
Yeah,
try to remove it, but it's very difficult to eradicate because it's a tuber.
Yeah, correct, and you have to catch it in the fall and spray it, so when it starts to retreat, it kills the roots, and so there are professionals that do that, and we just, we're gonna monitor, see what we got there. So other than that, anything else? Anything from Pollyant Trail is this week, and NODA is this week?
Right, on the CBA last week, we approved the expansion of Lakeville Veterinary Clinic. It's gonna be expanded to serve the community better. Going to increase in size, so that's the latest on the CBA.
Okay, and just so everybody knows that NODA did close on the building in Oxford Village, so that we do have a new home for NODA, and they'll do a few improvements, and then we'll move into it. So that's a step forward for a permanent place now for the senior busing, to keep all the vehicles there and to be dispatched out of there. Okay, legal reports, don't have any. Communications, have any? Okay, supervisor report, I just have a couple of things. The chloriding on the gravel roads, that's gonna start this week. April 17th is the date they gave me, and of course I looked, and it's rain all week long, so I'm sure that they'll be chloriding. But I'm hoping that I'll keep that monitored, and maybe, they have a schedule for all the townships, so it's hard for them to change, but if it's gonna be a sloppy week, I'm gonna try to get them to hold off until it dries up. But by holding off, I already got tons of complaints on some of the roads. When it got real dry, the dust was so bad that people couldn't see going down the road, so one way or the other, it's we've got to get it done. I just hope the roads dry out before we do put the chloride on them. And we do have a person that would like to donate 10 acres of land for a passive park in the township. It's in the northeast section, and Pauline knows the people, and they've been very gracious to us, and Pauline will fill us in next month of another donation. I did look at it as absolutely a beautiful piece of property. I don't want to say any more than that, but the sergeant and I went out there. It's absolutely beautiful, and if this does come about, we'd be very indebted to those people. So the other thing is, as you know, you can now put Lakeville on your return address on your mail, or you can mail a letter to yourself saying Lakeville, but it still has to say 48367. That is the same zip code that Leonard has. And if you want to vote, when you go to vote, you have to have Leonard on your driver's license, 48367. So when everybody wants to go and change all their driver's license, everything to Lakeville. It's for mailing only, and that was the agreement with the postmaster, that if you want to put your address Lakeville, your mail will come to your house because they do have delivery. If you have Lakeville 48366, that is just a post office box. That does not get you delivery to your house. So that's why they allowed you to put Lakeville 48367, so your mail can be delivered to your house, but it's not for voting reasons or to change your driver's license. So other than that, that's all I have to say. Does anybody have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make it.
Okay. So we have a vote on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Next meeting, May 20th. Thank you very much.